Welcome back to Brands Hatch. We're on the Indy circuit. We're going radical racing again. It is the Hagerty Radical SR3 Cup. And it is the big boys that are coming out this time. Their penultimate round of the whole 2024 season. And we've got championships up for grabs, although we think it probably has been sorted, this one, don't we? My name is Chris Dawes. Also, Josh Barrett here with me. You're the master with the maths, Josh. You reckon that Chris Lullam's already got it, especially with the fact that Luke Hinton isn't even here.
That's right. So Chris Lullam, we think the 2024 Pro SR3 champion, but the Fangio class for those drivers over 45, very much up for grabs. I reckon after race one, Peter Tyler has taken the lead of the Fangio division by 5 points over John McLeod. So that's the one to look out for.
The big one, though, is that McLeod is ahead of Tyler on the grid for this particular race. Their second fastest lap in the qualifying session, so makes it rather interesting to say the least. The grid will be as follows: 20 Chris Lullam, the championship leader, on pole with 95 Oscar Joyce alongside him. Second row, 81 Max McRae and 14. There he is. John McLeod is ahead of Peter Tyler this time, so it could swing back the other direction. Third row is that number 80 car of Peter Tyler, though. He'll be trying desperately to get up alongside and maybe past John McLeod as quick as possible. And 21 Jack Yang alongside him. Fourth and final row, 25 Paul Denning. And the 99 car, which is the development car, is starting from the back this time, James Pinkerton. So it's not going to get too involved in the tussles ahead as we work on that car. Oh, that smoke in the background is legitimate and okay there. That was just seen on that camera shot there. I'm sure it must be okay. It's probably, they're all barbecuing already. That's what it is, Josh, isn't it?
Perhaps you can go and get a bit, Chris.
That's an idea. That's an idea, isn't it? I was just discussing what I'm going to do when I head back to my hotel for the night. And a barbecue would be nice, wouldn't it? And it does feel surprisingly warm enough for that outside, doesn't it? But we'll wait and see. So the black and red car you see there, that is number 20, your championship leader, your champion-elect, I guess is right to say as well, Chris Lullam. That wonderful multicoloured 95 car of Oscar Joyce alongside. Then you've got the black with the green flashes. That is 81 Max McRae. We'll come on to that name in a second because, yes, it is the name that you might think. And alongside him is the white and green, which is 14 John McLeod. But look behind him, not directly behind, because that's Jack Yang in that sort of almost red and golf liveried style, not golf, sorry, Castrol liveried colours, but it's that day-glow yellow, white and blue that is Peter Tyler, number 80. That's a critical fight for John McLeod. Here we come towards the line, 20 minutes of radical SR3 racing, and Lullam's bringing them very steady. Off go the lights, off go the field, and he just launches himself off of this start, and it is the inside line for our pole sitter, so through into the lead goes Chris Lullam still. In second place is Oscar Joyce. He is having a sneaky snifter towards the inside, but it wasn't really on, and they're taking Max McRae with them.
And an almighty start from Paul Denning from the fourth row of the grid. Dived up the inside, he's up to fifth, I think, so that was quite exciting moment.
And that's both the SR1 race earlier that his son, Denning, also had a cracking start, didn't he?
In fact, he took some advice of how to do it, so 2 positions gained immediately. But now Chris Lullam's getting into his stride, isn't he, and pulling clear of Oscar Joyce, which you say Max McRae, son of Colin, is nephew of Colin rather, is absolutely underneath the rear wing of Oscar Joyce and really attacking into Paddock Hill Bend, unable though to go through at this point, but we know there'll be lots of laps over the course of the remaining 19 minutes in this Hagerty Radical SR3 Cup UK race. So Max McRae in what he can do about the second place driver Oscar Joyce. Oscar, who's looking good for second in the overall championship as well, with the absence of Luke Hilton this weekend. Meanwhile, John McLeod there behind them in fourth position, leading the Fangio division, but ahead of the fast starting Paul Denning. Meanwhile, the leaders up there at clearways. There's the Fangio battle, the three of them all together on the road, McLeod, Denning and Tyler.
Yeah, directly behind them is Jack Yang, 21. He's not in the Fangio, definitely not. He's a lot younger than that. It is really, McLeod's going to be delighted at the moment, isn't he, that not only is he ahead of Peter Tyler, but that Denning, the black and red car, is behind him. So there you see, first, second, third in that Fangio fight. John McLeod started this race behind Peter Tyler in the championship standings for that Fangio fight. But as it stands at the moment, it's not just going to swing the other way. The fact that there's 2 places between them in this double point scoring round this is exactly what McLeod wants to see in his rearview mirror.
That's right, because if he has a car between him and Peter Tyler in the results, that's really going to swing it back into his direction ahead of tomorrow's championship finale.
Yeah, because that's 20 points difference.
That's right, and that's going to be obviously harder to pull back in that final round tomorrow. Chris Lallem 2 seconds ahead of Oscar Joyce now, 46.147 second lap for the leader. And it's a good tussle that we've got for the Fangio division, isn't it? Because John McLeod not far ahead of Paul Denning.
And you can just sense now, can't you, that Denning's under growing pressure now from Tyler. Tyler's not necessarily close enough to pounce, but he just looked through that section up to and down from Druid's hairpin, is that at the moment McLeod was starting to stretch his legs slightly in that number 14 car, but Peter Tyler is, I mean, it's interesting because he's got to be mindful of Jack Yang directly behind him as well, but he really is sat there trying to focus desperately on the car ahead of him, of Denning. Paul Denning, like you say, from 7th on the grid, the back row, and he came through, made up 2 places straight off that start. But look, it just feels like the 25 car is the one that's under most pressure.
Yeah, it's, at this point, he's a bit further behind John McLeod, isn't he? And more looking to the mirrors. And what about Jack Yang? Because you'd think he might have more pace in these cars ahead, because he was ahead of them in race 1. So you'd think would be looking to progress during the course of this race past the Fangio Cup runners. So out of Clark Curve and down the Brabham Straight they come. Another fastest lap for Chris Lallem, with a 45.917, 3 seconds ahead of Oscar Joyce. Max McRae's initial challenge for second has sort of settled down a bit. He's 3/4 of a second behind Oscar Joyce. There they are through Graham Hill Bend, with McRae chasing. Then you've got this dice for 4th down towards Graham Hill Bend. John McLeod now a full second ahead of Paul Denning, so he is continuing to broaden that gap.
Yeah, you almost sort of feel that it's not about McLeod this time, is it? Because he sort of managed to scamper away, but it is that to keep this properly alive is that Tyler needs to catch up and get past Denning. At the moment, it's kind of it's making that margin a little bit too big to go in tomorrow. But there is our race leader. The Lallem number 20 car was over 3.5 seconds clear, and he's just putting in purple laps time after time, isn't he? By that I mean, for those who maybe aren't familiar, that's fastest lap of the race. He's over 3.5 seconds clear of this battle that is not settling, is it? Joyce and McRae, 95 and 81, just about to come into view now. There you go. So Joyce keeping McRae back, but the Scottish flag on the rear of that car tells you that it is McRae trying desperately to reel him back in again. And he's looked good this weekend, hasn't he?
Yeah, never raced on the circuits in the UK before today. Max McRae is a front runner in the European Junior Rally Championship. Has raced radicals in Australia though, so it's not a totally new concept to him. Max McRae, I think he's 18 years of age. So super young driver with lots of prospects really for the future, whether he sticks with the rallying route as his family have done. His father Alistair, the 1995 British Rally champion. But you'd have to say, Chris, that Max McRae, if he would like to go the circuit racing route, he's got the talent to do so.
It certainly seems that way, doesn't it? And we've been talking about how the Radical program is great. You've got from the SR1 to SR3. You've even got then some of the higher cars as well. Is it the RXC that we've seen in GT Cup? Is a crazy quick car as well. But many of them go on to things like GT racing, like British touring cars. We had Darryl de Leon out behind our commentary box earlier. And so it does give that opportunity to move on with a racing career. And you've got to say, you've pointed out that he's already doing well in rallying, as the family says he's got to do. But he's looking incredibly promising in circuit racing. I didn't catch his age, actually.
18, I think.
18, that's incredible, isn't it? Fair shout then. He's still got a lot of time to be able to improve even further.
His dad, Alistair, never did any circuit racing, but Colin did rounds of the British Touring Car Championship. He actually finished on the podium, I think, at Le Mans when he shared a Ferrari, I think it was, in the Le Mans 24 Hours after his rallying career. But obviously most famous for jumping over big hills in the countryside, which you don't want to do in a Radical, I shouldn't think.
If in doubt, flat out. That is obviously his motto, which did damage a few cars along the way as well.
Especially in the later days.
Yeah. Oh, and we've got now the challenge. Peter Tyler's been passed by Jack Yang. So Jack Yang, the 21 car, at the end of the Cooper Straight, just threw it up the inside. And this is, I mean, it doesn't make any difference to the points being scored in the Fangio side of things, because Peter Tyler was third. Jack Yang's not a Fangio driver. It does mean he's down in seventh, but it gets, the big one is it gets rid of that possibility for him to close in on Paul Denning, the 25 car, to move on up to make it so that he's running first and second, McLeod in first, him in second. So this is making life very difficult heading into tomorrow for him, isn't it?
Although Paul Denning is catching John McLeod again, isn't he? So perhaps at this point Peter Tyler is sort of the fan club to Paul Denning to try and get past John McLeod and take points away from McLeod.
There's a point, actually, yes. So maybe it wouldn't be Tyler getting past Denning, but Denning getting past McLeod. That could be the one that swings it and makes us really go down to the wire tomorrow. As I'm afraid, as fans, spectators and commentators, that's what we like to see, go down to the wire.
Yeah, it certainly go into tomorrow's race, but when that gap is bigger, it makes it much more difficult, doesn't it, to overhaul. You've got to have other circumstances, unlike we think in the SR1s, where it's going to be all about who finishes in front in that final race. Yeah,
that one it is a bit easier to understand. This one possibly a little bit less so. But down onto the Cooper Straight we go again, behind our commentary box. And John McLeod, I mean, he might be being closed in by Denning, but you look in the background there, it's not close enough to put pressure. Jack Yang's the one that's looking rather racy. In fact, he nearly took certainly over half a second out of Denning ahead of him. And both McLeod and Denning put in personal best, so they're all kind of pushing each other now, aren't they, into new best lap times.
Yeah, Yang's done another half a second on that lap, so he's almost with Denning and McLeod. Peter Tyler's really dropped off, hasn't he? He's not got the pace in this race of those ahead.
Although, interestingly, even his quickest lap wasn't on the pace with those ahead, and he's virtually identical to his quickest lap of this race, 46.9, and he's just done a 47.0. But you're talking like Denning, they're both in 46.7, so that's only a couple of tenths, I suppose, in fairness, isn't it, that he's off of it. But
he was sort of the quicker driver, I think, in the earlier race, certainly in qualifying, wasn't he? Because he qualified ahead of John McLeod on best lap times.
Yes, he did. And despite a sort of, was it a gravelly moment?
Yeah,
it was, wasn't it? And yet he still managed to come home with a victory in that Fangio class.
That's right, well, this time he's now about 3 or 4 seconds behind John McLeod. There's Jack Yang in 6th place. He's got better pace than those ahead. Chris Dawes is going to save the day by stopping our television from turning off.
I've seen you so quick, haven't you?
Oscar George versus Max McRae is continuing, half a second between them.
it's just realising that this isn't that much quicker than the Clubman's then, because that was a 46.7 that we got earlier, and this is a 45.7. Oh, okay, yeah, second. A full second, to be fair. That's where we've been enjoying that. We've had a wonderful day here at Brands Hatch with some super quick cars. Radical SR3's taken the biscuit by that second I just mentioned. And yeah, just really putting on a fabulous show. Numbers may be low, but the entertainment most definitely is not.
Yeah, very quick cars, particularly if you're in a passenger seat one of these cars. I'm sure you'll be pretty excited by what was going on.
It was a bit mad. I've been in the passenger seat around Silverstone GP circuit, then jumped into the driving seat with an instructor next to me, and I certainly enjoyed the driving a lot more than the passenger, but that's a common story for me, I'm afraid. But these things, just phenomenal. The speed that you can take into and through the corners with the aero on them is just mind-blowing. But, you know, I was using an example of driving an aerial atom where there is no aero, and I reached my limit long before the cars, whereas with this, you kind of, it feels responsible, responsive, reliable. You know, you just feel that you can do it and it's going to come out the other side. And, you know, these drivers are really showing the way. Up towards Druids for the 17th time goes this battle for second place. Oscar Joyce still in the lead. Into the pits, that's Pinkerton, so that's the development car. We had the hooter in the background. So the 99 car has dropped into the pits. They're working on that. The works team, I guess is the best way to say it, that they're developing that potentially for next season.
He's not dropping away from Oscar Joyce, is he? But we haven't really seen a challenge as of yet. We know it's difficult to pass around here in these very quick cars. The braking zones are so short because of the speed they carry through the corners. Jack Yang's pass and Peter Tyler earlier looked pretty spectacular, didn't it? We sort of caught it just as it was happening through 30s, which is pretty much flat out in these cars.
It shows it can be done. Because I was about to make the comment again that it's quite difficult to pass around this Brands Hatch Indy circuit, but in fairness, he did show that absolutely you can do it. It's not like he was lapping someone, that was legitimate battling, and he can do it. So are we going to see Deming being able to reel him in? Are we going to see Max McRae, that sat there in third place directly behind Oscar Joyce, put a challenge in? At the moment, he has actually fallen away slightly there, hasn't he?
Yeah,
not by much, but
just going in a touch. It's never been over a second, which it was in race one. He's learning about aero wash on these cars, just to affect the turning point, perhaps create a bit of understeer. Look after the tyres throughout the duration.
yeah, remind me of that. So we were discussing this in the SR1s, is that they've got a limit on the amount of tyres they can use.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's different to the SR3s. Look that up.
See, I've thrown you under the bus there, haven't I? Sorry, mate. But we're down into, about to go into the final corner, or a quarter even, of this race, with 5 1/4 on the clock. And heading up towards the Druids hairpin goes Oscar Joyce, the 95 guy. He just cannot put a wheel wrong, because Max McRae will just be ready to pounce and pick up the pieces. So he's just making sure that he's putting in qualify. Oh, and he's just had a little wiggle mid-corner there at Graham Hill Bend, but that didn't seem to unsettle him too much. It's just never a great line to have to turn right in a left-hander, is it? Even if it's momentarily.
It's actually left tyres allowed in the SR3s and the SR1s. It's oh no, it's not. It's not. I'm forgetting. It was 8 tyres per 2 events. This time it's 6 tyres. Well, I didn't read this is per 1 event, so it's actually a touch more. So 6 tyres allowed per event. So it's not that many. You've got 1 set plus 2. So when are you going to use your 2 new ones? Do you use it for this race, or do you save it for the final race of the day? Or final race of the weekend, rather?
And it could have had an effect on why suddenly someone's an awful lot quicker in this race than they were earlier. We just do not know. So it means that it is all to play for the final race of the season for the Hagerty Radical SR3 Cup. That's tomorrow, due off around about 1:20. But if we're running ahead of time, it could be more like 1 o'clock. So make sure you're tuned in. Set the reminder to catch the live races tomorrow. The broadcast from here at Brands Hatch.
Peter Tyler, who hadn't had the pace, on lap 17, set the fastest lap in the Fangio class, 46.591, quicker than McLeod and Denning. Webber would say, and he was 2 tenths away, wasn't he? So he's picked his pace up, and a bonus 2 points could be important for tomorrow.
Yep, the phrase I used earlier, damage limitation, that probably comes true, doesn't it?
Although Denning's just taken it away from him, 46.588, 3 thousandths quicker than
Tyler's.
Oh,
wow. Super close then, to be fair. The biggest thing here, look, is that Jack Yang in that 21 car is all over the back of Paul Denning. So Denning isn't really able to be challenging John McLeod. John McLeod ahead of him that is leading the Fangio class. Denning there in the 25 car, second in the Fangio. The car directly behind him, Jack Yang, number 21. That is not a Fangio driver. Long gap back before we get to Peter Tyler. And we just saw him in the background there, didn't we? Just sort of flash through the rear of shot.
Yeah, so yeah, he's 4 seconds behind. So his average pace certainly slower than McLeod and Denning, even if the best laps there's basically nothing in it. So is Jack Young going to have a go here? He looks to the inside and towards Druids. Denning shuts the door in his face.
Wow.
And they got away with that one. So Jack Young's going to have to rethink, but is that just going to be enough for John McLeod just to breeze a bit further away? He had that safe gap of about a second, but you'd think having to defend like that will allow McLeod to get away further there in 14.
For me, that just looked like Denning was almost not closing the door for a second, as though he thought Jack Young's going to go for it. I don't need to fight with him in reality. And then realised he wasn't actually as close as he thought and went, well, fine, I'm not going to make this too easy for you. I can shut this door because you're not quite there yet.
Sometimes the foreshortening of the camera lens as well makes it look more dramatic than what it actually does from in the car, in the seat of the car behind.
Don't rob me of it, Josh. It looked amazing. Round Druids, back down the hill they go towards Graham Hill. But Jack Young again, just sort of like peeking that nose towards the inside, knowing full well that Denning will see that car, thinking about that opportunity. And you're right, John McLeod has just pulled away from these two completely now. He's under no pressure. 1 minute and 18 left on the clock. The lead 3 have already gone through and put 24 laps on. So they're on their penultimate lap, because we've got more than a lap time on the clock, but probably not enough for them to have done 2 when they flashed across.
We'll see when Chris Lallam comes through, because it'll be the flag will go to him. There's 50 seconds coming up. I think Chris Lallam is about to go across the line. It's about 46 seconds on the clock, so it's going to be tight.
Oh, wow, okay. So I did make an assumption there, didn't I? We don't need to throw the flag early because we've got plenty of fat in the diet at the moment.
Jack Young would like another lap to try and get past Paul Denning. Paul Denning being urged on to go after John McLeod, right, a tenth or so. Here comes Chris Lallam. We haven't really spoken about him too much. The pro sim racer turned real life racer is going to squeeze the extra lap in, isn't he, with just seconds on the clock. 27 lap race this time.
What did we get last time?
Let's have a look.
Why did I ask you? I can see it was 27 last time. I've got it right in front of me on my monitor, but I forgot that I was actually organised for a change, and it was on my laptop. I made you get up and look anyway, didn't I? But there he goes, our race leader, our champion-elect, I think is the best we're able to say. We're pretty sure that this has got to get it sorted for him in terms of the championship. He's been dominant. He's won 14 of the 16. This will make it 15 of the 17 races this year. I mean, that is incredible, isn't it, as he comes through to take the checkered flag and make it yet another win as he flashes those pretty cool looking lights.
It is Max Verstappen 2023 domination style, isn't it, from Chris Lallam. And he's so consistent. Even that last lap was only 1/100th of a second slower than his best lap, which was done 18 laps ago. So he's super consistent from Chris Lullum. Absolute domination. 11.8 second win over Oscar Joyce. Max McRae comes home in third.
Here comes your Fangio winner for this race, John McLeod, the number 14 car. And with there being 2 cars between him and Peter Tyler, his main rival, he goes back into the lead of the Fangio class. And we think, given himself a pretty reasonable margin to not have to put everything on the line tomorrow to secure the Fangio class. So he's done an awesome job there. 17
points margin, I think. So Tyler will need to win tomorrow with McLeod third.
Which is a big ask. I feel like I could wave from our commentary box now. That camera probably can't quite see us, but we are in there, been enjoying these activities here at Brands Hatch. So the results for that race for the Hagerty Radical SR3 Cup, as that was their penultimate race of the 2024 season, their final race tomorrow afternoon. It was a brilliant victory, again, from number 20, Chris Lullum, the Valor Racing driver, also with the fastest lap, 45.730. Second place, Oscar Joyce, car number 95, with pressure throughout from 81, Max McRae comes home in third. 14, John McLeod, fourth on the road, and wins the Fangio side of it. And a great start, just really did the damage for Paul Denning, number 25, against his competitors, getting him up to 5th and 2nd in that Fangio fight. Jack Yang, 21, a brilliant move we saw partway through the race to get him ahead of Peter Tyler. Peter Tyler comes home 7th and 3rd in the Fangio. And of course we then had the Radical Factory development car of James Pinkerton, car 99, that did manage to put in some rather rapid laps in that new car as well. So well done to Chris Lullum, super impressive. If we haven't said it in this stream, it was before that he actually races with Max Verstappen's team on the sim, and it looks like he either had it and that's why he's on the team, or he's learnt a lot from being on that team.
Yeah, absolutely. He is dominating things in the Hagerty Radical SR3 Cup, his first full season of in real life motorsport. So congratulations to Chris. We're really interested to see what might come next for Chris Lullum's racing career in full metal, as one person once described it, in real life racing.
Well, congratulations there for the second race of the weekend for the Hagerty Radical SR3 Cup. We'll be back again tomorrow afternoon for more of that. We've got the SR1s in the morning, SR3s in the afternoon. Hope you've enjoyed the stream so far today, and we'll be back with you again tomorrow.